Hello everyone and welcome back to the Thinkers Club. In the previous lecture, we covered right to equality, right to freedom. Today we will complete the fundamental rights. And today's lecture is very important because this is where your rights actually get protected. So a quick recap. Fundamental rights are essential for democracy and enforceable by courts, and these are not absolute. So today we move to the remaining rights. These are, you can go through it. These are the fundamental, what are fundamental rights, okay, right to equality and right to freedom, which we covered yesterday. So today's focus is on the remaining rights like Article 23, 24, that is right against exploitation, 25 to 28, that is freedom of religion, and all the writs as well as how the rights get suspended, during the emergency. So Article 23, that is right against exploitation. Now this prohibits human trafficking, forced labor in all forms, and even if someone agrees under pressure, it is still illegal. So you may imagine someone is forced to work without payment, so that is a violation under the Article 24. This is both for private as well as public sectors. Next is Article 24. Now, this prohibits no child below the age of 14 years can work in hazardous industries. Okay, this protects children from getting exploited. It's for child welfare. Okay, it ensures right to education and development. So this is a complete ban on child labor, and it covers everything like factories, mines, everywhere. Its main aim is to protect the physical and mental health of children. So this is so overall in the summary of right against exploitation. All I can say that it protects human dignity, be it a small child or an individual. So Article 23 and 24 are all about no child labor as well as no exploitation of people. Next we have is the right to freedom of religion. Now India is a secular country, which means no official religion is there, okay? So Article 25, freedom of conscience and religion. You can follow any religion, okay, and you can also change your religion if you want. You can profess, practice, and propagate any religion of your choice. So, this is your right. Now, Article 26 says that religious groups can manage their own affairs and establish institutions. Okay, Article 27, it says that no person can be forced to pay tax for religious promotion, okay? No person can compel you to pay taxes for promotion or maintenance of a particular religion. Article 28 states that no religious education in state-funded institutions. Private institutions may provide religious educations, but this is important for ensuring the secularism of the country, okay? Now, Indian secularism is unique. What does it mean? It means that equal respect for all religions, no separation of religion from state. So, Article 25 to 28 ensures religious freedom while maintaining state neutrality. Now, the state cannot favor any religion, but still it allows religious practices within the limits of the public order, morality, as well as health. So, these are some practical applications. You can have a look on them. Next we have is the cultural as well as the educational rights. So these rights protect minorities. Article 29 here is right to conserve language and culture, whereas Article 30 is all about minorities can establish educational institutions. Now these ensure diversity survives, okay? Study this in depth. This is a very important provision. This is the protection of minorities' culture. Now, India is a country of diversity, okay? Different languages, different scripts, different cultures. So the constitution had to ensure that no community loses its identity. Now, Article 29 says that any section of citizens having a distinct language, script, or culture has the right to conserve it. Now, this is very important because it protects India's diversity. You need to notice something very carefully over here that it says any section of citizen, not just minority. So even majority groups can also claim this right, okay? Now, the question arises of why this article exists. Without this protection, smaller communities could lose their language, their tradition, their identity. Now, this is called cultural assimilation, and the Constitution wants to prevent that. So it applies to both religious minorities, linguistic minorities. Secondly, no denial of admission in state-aided institutions based on religion, race, caste, or language. Third important point over here is that it empowers communities to preserve their unique identity. Now think about regional or maybe regional languages, Tamil, Punjabi, Bengali, etc. If not protected, they could disappear over time. So Article 29 says it is not just about rights, it's about protecting identity. And in a country like India, which is very diverse, protecting diversity means protecting unity. I hope that's clear. Now about Article 30, that is the educational rights of minorities. This is another important provision, I must say. If Article 29 protects culture, Article 30 protects education. Article 30 gives minorities the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice, and this applies to both religious minorities as well as linguistic minorities. Now, why this article is important? Just give it an idea. If a community wants to preserve its culture, what is the most powerful tool? Through education, right? So the Constitution ensures that minorities can educate their next generation in their own way. So minorities can establish institutions without unnecessary interference from the state. Secondly, they cannot be discriminated against, while receiving state aid, and equal treatment must be given. And the third point is that they have autonomy in admission policies as well as in administration. Now, this does not mean that they are above the law. They still have to follow the general rules and standards. The Constitution clearly says the state cannot discriminate against minority institutions. So whether it is funding or recognition, equality must be maintained. Okay? Now let's give a look at the bigger picture. Why are cultural and educational rights important? Article 29 as well as 30 are not just legal provisions. They are the foundation of India's diversity. Let's divide it in two parts: pluralism and social cohesion. India is not one culture. It is a combination of many cultures. So what do these rights do? They protect language, culture, identity. This ensures no single culture dominates the other, and that leads to pluralism and mutual respect. Unity in India does not come from sameness, it comes from respecting the differences. Another part which we can divide it into is educational empowerment. Now look at Article 30. It gives minority control over education. Now why is this important? Because education shapes identity. So what is its impact? It's very obvious. These rights ensure equal opportunities for the majority as well as the minority, protection from cultural domination, preservation of traditions. Together, these rights strengthen the democracy. How? By protecting vulnerable communities. So all you need to remember is that Article 29 and 30 are not just about minorities, they are about protecting India's identity, and that identity is unity in diversity. Article 32, that is the right to constitutional remedies. Now we come to the most powerful right in the entire Constitution, Article 32. Now this is not just another right, this is the right that protects all other rights. The core idea of Article 32 is that it gives every citizen the right to directly approach the Supreme Court for the enforcement of fundamental rights. So hear this very carefully, and if you want, you can repeat it again. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar called Article 32 the heart and soul of the Constitution. Now, why is it so important? Think about it. Pause this video, go to the comment section, and think, why is the right to constitutional remedies, which was known as the heart and soul of the Constitution by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, is so important? What if rights exist but you cannot enforce them? Obviously, they become useless, right? So Article 32 does what? It converts rights from theory to reality. If any of your fundamental rights are violated, you don't have to wait. You can directly go to the Supreme Court. This is why we say rights without remedies are meaningless. Under Article 32, the Supreme Court can issue writs to protect your rights. We'll discuss writs next or, you know, later further on. But otherwise, you need to understand that the Supreme Court issues writs to protect your fundamental rights under Article 32. So remember that Article 32 is not just a right, it is the protector of all rights, and without it, fundamental rights would only remain on paper. Now let's go a step deeper. How exactly does Article 32 work in practice? Now this is where the legislative framework comes in. Under Article 32, the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. Now what does that mean? This means that you can directly go to the Supreme Court without going to the lower courts first, and this is quite powerful because it provides immediate access to justice. The Supreme Court can issue directions, orders, writs to enforce fundamental rights. And now comes the most important part. The Supreme Court can issue 5 types of writs as given over here. Now these are legal tools used to protect your rights in real situations. And one very important feature is remedy under Article 32 is immediate and accessible, which means you don't have to wait endlessly for justice. So Article 32 is not just about courts, it's about guaranteed justice, and the writs are the tools that make this justice real. Examples you can go through, and tomorrow we'll be covering the writs part. it's all about the fundamental rights. Tomorrow we'll be covering the writs part as well as the suspension part. I know in the starting of the video I told you about covering all those things all together in this video, but due to some audio issue, I have to stop the video over here and try to continue at tomorrow. So thank you and have a nice day.